friends, my name's Jackie. Welcome back to my kitchen. I have one more dessert recipe for you as part of the Real Women of Philadelphia cooking competition. Today we are making roasted rhubarb and strawberry fool in pastry cups. Now I could not let this beautiful spring season pass without sharing with you my favorite way to cook rhubarb, and that is roasting it in a hot oven, and you'll see why that is so good. So I have here 1 pound of rhubarb that I've washed and trimmed into fairly good chunks, 1 inch to 1.5 inches. And to that I've added 1/4 cup of vanilla sugar. Now you could use regular granulated sugar and then just add a little splash of vanilla extract. But I mentioned before how when I'm baking with vanilla beans, I put the empty pods into my little jar of sugar, and you might be able to see here I've got quite a few pods that have accumulated here, and as I use the sugar I just top it up, and as I get another pod I just add one, and it just gives a beautiful vanilla essence to our sugar. So I've used it here, and I'm also adding 1/4 cup of white wine. And we'll just stir this together until it's evenly combined. I've got my oven preheated to 400 degrees. We're going to roast this rhubarb, and what that does, it really brings out some caramelization, some little brown edges, but it also makes for what I find is a nicer texture than, say, cooking the rhubarb, stewed rhubarb on the stove. We'll let this roast for about 15 minutes, then I'll give it a stir while it's still quite firm, and then put it back in for another 15 to 20 minutes until it's tender, but I'm not going to stir it during that time, so it can hold its shape, and of course it'll mush up a bit once we spoon it out, but it just has more body to it this way, and I love it. While our rhubarb is roasting, I'm also going to bake off our pastry shells. Are you familiar with vol au vent pastry shells? You buy them in the freezer section at the grocery store, same place you would buy puff pastry or tart shells. And it's puff pastry that's been shaped into little discs, the little cutout in the center, and you can see it's really thin, but this bakes like puff pastry into a nice puffy little cup, and we're going to fill our cups with our roasted rhubarb and our strawberry fool. These little guys are one of my favorite shortcuts. I love to keep a box stashed away in my freezer so that at a moment's notice I could take some simple ingredients and turn it into a rather fancy looking dessert. So these just take 18 to 20 minutes, also in a 400 degree oven, and I'll cook those while our rhubarb is roasting. So while we're roasting and baking, I'm going to get going on our strawberry fool. Now a strawberry fool is taking fresh strawberries, and you can use any fruit actually, mixing it together with some whipped cream, and we're going to enrich it with some Philadelphia cream cheese. That'll give it extra body, extra richness, and it'll stand up to the warm rhubarb that we've got going on with it. So I have diced 1/2 pound of fresh strawberries, washed and hulled of course. I'm just going to add about 1 teaspoon of our vanilla sugar. Again, you can use regular sugar if you don't have vanilla. And 1 tablespoon of white wine. I'm using a Pinot Grigio, a Sauvignon Blanc would be very nice as well. Choose a wine that works with light, summery fruits and flavors. Mix this together and set it aside. Those strawberries will release their juices and get beautiful. Alright, it's been 15 minutes. I'm going to just stir our rhubarb. You can see it still has a lot of firmness to it. It's holding together really well. So this is going back in for 15 to 20 minutes until it is soft, but we're not going to stir it again. We're not going to disturb it, so it'll hold a lot of that shape still. Continuing with our strawberry fool, I have here 1/2 cup of Philadelphia cream cheese. I'm going to whip that till it's light and fluffy. I'm going to add some of our vanilla sugar to sweeten. I also have 1/2 cup of whipping cream, and I'll whip that to stiff peaks, and then you'll see what we do next. So our vol au vent pastry cups have baked up. They are light and flaky and golden brown. They've got these little lids that sometimes they just need a little bit of help to get out. A fork is the right tool for that. And you just lift them out. And now we have these little pastry cups to fill with whatever goodies you like. I'll set this aside to cool. Our rhubarb has roasted up beautifully. I did increase the temperature in the oven to 450 after I took our pastry puffs out, and that added heat helped to roast this up so nice. It's quite liquid and juicy right now, but those will thicken a bit as it cools, and we'll let this cool for about 15 or 20 minutes until we're ready to assemble our desserts. So while our rhubarb cools down, we'll finish our fool. Our strawberries have released some juices in that sugar and wine, and with a potato masher I'm just mashing a little bit to break them up a little more and make it a little bit saucy. That's all. These strawberries then get folded into our whipped filly. Now for an extra hit of strawberry flavor, you could of course use the strawberry flavored Philly cream cheese. Then I just fold in our whipped cream. And now it's time to assemble our dessert. So our rhubarb has cooled a bit, it's still nice and warm, and you can see it is holding its shape. Unlike a stewed rhubarb, this looks beautiful, as good as it tastes. So I'm going to start by spooning just a couple pieces of rhubarb into the bottom of our cup. Top it then with a big spoonful of our strawberry fool. Let's get another spoonful in there. This can be full to overflowing. And then some more rhubarb just around the edge. And the sauce that cooks up in our roasted rhubarb is this lovely blush color. So I'll garnish that with a strawberry fan. If you like, you could top it with the little lids from the puff pastry. And I like to put a dusting of powdered sugar all over top just to make it all prettied up. So here we have our roasted rhubarb and strawberry fool in vol au vent pastry cups. I hope you've enjoyed this recipe today, and I hope you've enjoyed all the recipes I've been able to share with you as part of the Real Women of Philadelphia cooking competition. Thanks so much for joining me on this wonderful, exciting journey, and I do look forward to seeing you again.